You know, when I started speaking, I really wanted to get into the schools because, you know, when I was a kid, I struggled with my identity. I was the youngest of 8 kids, and my house where I grew up, it was all love. I mean, my mother and father, they worked to their bone to provide everything for 8 of us to grow up in a great home. There was never them coming home with a 12-pack of beer, putting it in the fridge. There was never them smoking cigarettes. There was never a discussion of, hey, what bar are we going to tonight? And, you know, as I got older, it was hard for me to meet new people. And I started to drink in like my early teens. And it would be, you know, a couple nights a week. And then by the time I got into high school, you know, it was every night. One thing I didn't know was that first time I picked up that drink, was going to change my life. It took me on a cycle of, you know, early substance abuse that I did not understand. Then I went to get my wisdom teeth pulled, and when I came home, the dentist gave, you know, the doctor gave my father a week's supply of Vicodin. So I'm laying in bed. And when I was a kid too, I struggled with anxiety and sleep. So when I was laying in bed, the combination of what they gave me to fall, you know, when they did the operation, and then the Vicodin, I remember laying in bed thinking, wow, I can actually sleep without struggling to go, you know, to go to bed. And after that week, when I didn't have those pills, I said to myself, wouldn't it be awesome to have that feeling every single night if I could get it? What I did not understand was that what was going on in my mind was the beginning stages of opiate addiction. You know, so after that, it was just nothing but alcohol. You know, every night we'd be drinking, and I was skateboarding. We'd be up till 3 in the morning. I really didn't care about high school. I barely got out of high school. And, you know, so I struggled with my work because I was never sober. I was always drinking. And then in my early 20s, I started smoking weed. And then that just went on until like 96, 97. And I was working for a company back home, and I was there for about 2 years, and I got fired. In 1999, my brother came to me. He worked for the post office, and he gave me this application. It was for this postal project. It was a traveling museum, 5-car train. It was traveling the country. So the first stop we went to was Savannah, Georgia. And, you know, drinking it just kept going. But now I'm out of my hometown, so now I have to find the weed on the street from just, you know, the strangers. And then we went to Alabama, Mississippi, we go to Florida. So I was away for about 2 months, and then we get a week break, we come home. And what I didn't know was the first friend that I ever had was struggling with depression. And we were in a bar and we were talking. And I said to him, hey, we're going to a house party after this. Well, let's go. I haven't seen you for a while. He said, no, you know what? Let's just go fishing tomorrow. I said, okay. And I watched him walk through the crowd. I can still see it today. What I didn't know was that was the last conversation I was going to have with him. That night, he took a rope and he took his life. And I did not know how to deal with that. So after the funeral, I went back out on the road with my team, and they showed me nothing but love. And I was sitting down for dinner, and I looked over to my brother, and I started bawling my eyes out. The next day, we were going to the train site to our work, and we were walking together, and he said to me, Frank, you got to start talking to people. You got to come to my room and talk. You can't keep all this in. I didn't listen to any of that. I knew that if I picked up the alcohol and the weed, it was going to take that away. So that's what I did. For many months, when I was out on the road, that's all I did. I would be in my hotel room. Everyone thought I was fine, but I'm in my hotel room, dying inside. Because my feeling was, I had let my first friend never had down. I let him walk around all night with no one to talk to. And like every night for months, I would get like 3 hours of sleep. Finally, this one morning I woke up, and I couldn't just wake up anymore and smoke cigarettes and drink coffee to get rid of my hangover. This girl walks up to me I work with, she puts out her hand, she has 3 pills in it, these 3 codeine pills. We had no idea what that was going to turn into. I took those pills. 10 minutes later, I was completely fine. The next day, can I have some more of your pills? The next day, this behavior went on for a month. Finally, she says to me, I'm not giving you any more of these pills. I said, okay. So I figured a way I'm going to get them. I bought 2 bottles of them. There's 250 pills in the bottle. Every day, I wake up. It's no longer, it's not, like Brandon, you get up in the morning, you eat breakfast. My breakfast is 5 pills, coffee, cigarettes. 2 hours later, 5 pills, coffee, cigarettes. This behavior went on for me until I was done with the training. Okay, so I come home, and I'm going through withdrawal. But I have no idea why, because I'm not educated on what I'm doing. Okay, so withdrawal lasted for about a week or so, and I got a job locally in town. And the whole time in my mind, all I want is that opiate. But I'm not understanding all this. So I'm sitting at my house, and I'm bored. And I said to myself, I want to try, I'm going to experiment with another drug, because I've never, snorted a drug before. So I go to my buddy's house, and he has this big thing, it's like a foil. Inside that foil is powdered ecstasy. This dude that I'd never met before, he walks over, he goes, shoves my buddy out of the way, he takes a key, and he shoves it in the powder. And he says, just snort this up your nostril, so I did. And I started walking away, and he goes, no, you're not done. He sticks it in again, and I go up the other nostril. Okay, so a couple days later, I said, I'm thinking to myself, I got through that, okay, I don't need this. I'm not craving this drug. Let me go try this. And I go to my friend's house, and he has 3 white lines down there. He does it, my other friend does it, and I grabbed the dollar bill out of his hand, and he said, Frank, are you sure you want to do this? I said, yes, because I'm thinking there's no way this little white line is going to take my life over. I snorted that white line of heroin. The next morning, when I woke up, the only thing I thought of was calling my dealer for more heroin. I was completely off to the races. I remember when I went to sleep that night. A lot of you might not understand this. A lot of you probably don't. But when I went to sleep that night, the only thing that went through my mind was when I came home from getting my teeth pulled and I'm laying in bed, sleeping. It was like, the feeling was like I'm home. Like this is what I've been searching for this whole time. I used to say I would never smoke weed. Now I can't even walk down the street without having 5 bags of heroin in my pocket. That took 1 week to happen. I was on it for about 6 months, and my parents went away to Florida for about 3 months. So I said, I gotta get off this, I gotta go through withdrawal. Like it's the perfect time. I get to sit in my house, no one will know anything. For 3 days, I couldn't even sleep. The sweats, the shaking, it was just complete torture. I didn't sleep for 3 days. I took a shower, and when I got out of the shower, I was just freezing cold, so I laid down on the floor, and I put the towel over me, and that's where I went to sleep. I didn't know how long I was sleeping for. So that lasted about, like a week and a half. And I thought, because I was not educated, that I could pick up the beer again, pick up the joint again. Completely wrong. Now I'm in the world of cross addiction. That lasted for a couple weeks. My mind's telling me this is not what you want. So I picked up the painkillers again. That led me right back into using heroin. This time it was worse. Because the mind of an addict is, when you stop your drug of choice and you start back up again, you got to catch up. So I went from using 5 bags a day to now a bundle, which is 10 bags a day. At the time I was working for Pepsi. I was working overnight shifts. People kept saying to me, why do you keep going to the bathroom every half hour? I would, of course you make up a lie. What they didn't know was I'm in the bathroom snorting heroin just so I could work. At the time I was also dating. I was in a relationship, and I was lying to her about every single thing I was doing. I would be stealing her money, lying about that. At this time, my habit was so out of control that I had to write bad checks, all over the grocery stores in my town because I needed money. All this started to catch up to me. There was no more lies I could tell. And finally, I started getting all these checks back to my address. And, my parents had to bail me out. If they wouldn't have given me the money to pay all this debt, I would have definitely been in jail. So, all this is piling up in my head. Everyone's asking me questions. What is going on with you? And I'm lying to them. And then finally, I went to work, and I didn't have any. And I'm going through withdrawal right in the middle of the plant of Pepsi. And I'm bawling my eyes out, freezing cold. And I went and I told my boss what was going on. And she told me, we're going to put you in a treatment program. So they put me in a treatment program. It's like an outpatient program. So I go to it. Every single time I left there, I just went and used. Finally, they said, we're going to try an inpatient program for you. At this time, I had to tell my parents. So me and my girlfriend go to my house. We're sitting in my kitchen. And up to this point, I really gave nothing for my parents to be proud of me about. And here I am again, getting ready to give them the ultimate, killer about me. And I couldn't even say it. And I asked my girlfriend, I said, can you please tell them? And she looked at them and they turned around in their chairs. And she said, your son's a heroin addict. Both my parents just slumped over in their chairs like all the wind just got knocked out of them. And they started to blame themselves. They started to say, what did we do wrong? And I said, you did nothing wrong. This is me. This is all stuff that I'm dealing with that I just don't know how to do. And, my father was saying to me, Frank, we are here for you. We encourage you to do everything that you can to get clean. We are not going to judge you. All we want to do is love you and help you. The whole time in my mind was, not the fact that he was saying that to me. It was, I can feel the sickness coming on. How can I sneak away and use these 2 bags of heroin that are in my pocket? That's the cold reality of this. So finally, I lost everything. I lost my job, my girlfriend, and when she left me, it was not because she didn't get me. She was there for me to try to get sober many times. I do not blame her for leaving. But when she left, it wasn't, I just lost the love of my life. It was, I'm glad she's gone, because now I'm free to do whatever I want. I can do whatever I want. I can use whatever I want with no one up my, no one bothering me. So, this was like around 2004. And around 2004, I switched from heroin to all prescription painkillers. Because it was either drive 2 hours to get heroin, or I could go 10 minutes from my house and get whatever I wanted. And for about 6 years, that behavior went on. I got a job in the Gulf oil spill, 2010. And I had some pills with me. I go down, and after like 2 weeks, I ran out. And I'm on this boat, this 150-foot boat, and I'm starting to go through withdrawal. And this guy says, I have my knee operated on. I have a full bottle of hydrocodone in my bag. What he didn't know was he was telling the wrong guy. We would be out in the morning, we'd be out on the deck of the ship, like cleaning it up, just doing busy work, and I would always sneak in before everyone else would, run into his bag and grab pills. What he didn't know was at the end of the 2 weeks, all those pills were going to be consumed by me, not by the guy who needed them with the knee injury. I came home, we were making about $1,500 a week. I came home, I was home for about 4 weeks, and all I was doing was stockpiling pills for my next trip down there. I was going to be on this boat for 5 more weeks. I had a big bottle of pills. I go down, and my thought process was just let them stretch for the whole 5 weeks. At the end of the week, they were gone. So now I'm going through full-blown opiate withdrawal on this boat in the middle of the Gulf of Mexico, and it's complete torture. Those weeks, I didn't think of it as I'm building up clean time. The only thing that was on my mind was when I get home, I know exactly where I'm going to get pills. So I get home, and me and my buddy, I drop him off at his roommate's house. His roommate has a terrible back. He's prescribed Vicodin, and he's prescribed morphine 100s. So he says, well, what do you want? I said, just give me the Vicodin, because I know morphine 100s is basically like using heroin again. I take 5 Vicodin. 2 hours later, I call him up. I said, yo, man, we got to go back over your buddy's house. He goes, Frank, if we go over there, you're only going to be able to get the other thing. I said, at this point, I don't care. 1 gray pill, morphine 100, turned into 5 every day. Right around this time, my father is becoming very sick. My father for years struggled with a bad heart. He had neuropathy. It was so hard for him to get around. He struggled with that for like 15, 20 years. And all this was catching up to him. At this point, I was stealing from my father. I was stealing his money. I was stealing his painkillers. I gave my father nothing to be proud of me about, because his baby boy is nothing but an opiate addict. That's all he knew about me. So, in May 2011, he's in the hospital for a month. We're in the room with him, and instead of me trying to make amends with my father, the only thing that was going through my mind was getting out of the street because I need drugs. His last week in the hospital, I found out that by the end of the week, he was not going to be with us anymore. I still could not go up to him and say, I'm sorry for everything that I've done. And when he passed, I mean, I thought I was in bad shape. It just went straight downhill from there because I did not hear from my father. I forgive you, son. Please get help, son. You know, I didn't hear any of that. And I completely spiraled out of control. So many nights I would sit on the edge of my bed, just taking painkillers and sleeping pills, just not wanting to wake up. Because I was just such a disappointment to everyone that ever cared about me. So then, you know, I've heard in many meetings that I've gone to over the years that God always sends you a message. There's always a message out there for you. And I'm in my basement, just took a handful of painkillers and I'm flicking through channels and I get to ESPN. It's 5 till the hour. This was amazing. It was just like it was meant to be. Like, right here's my message. And I see this man sitting there and he's talking to the anchor about his journey through drug addiction. I watched this for about an hour, and I knew at the end that there is so much hope out there that you can change your life around and do incredible things in recovery. And, you know, it took 20 days, November 22nd, 2011, I took my last pills that I had, and, you know, when I went to sleep, I just asked God, you know, please just, you know, like, this morning I want to wake up. And I woke up and I was so thrilled that now I can start a life in recovery. But I always thought when I got sober that I can do all this on my own. I'm strong enough to do it on my own, and it always failed miserably. So at the end of the week, my brain started to trick me again. This sickness started saying, Frank, just grab that beer. It's okay. And I knew it had to be different this time, so I picked up the phone, I called a friend of mine, and she got me in touch with a place back in Johnstown. It's called New Visions. It's a behavioral health treatment facility. And I was doing outpatient, and the first day I went in and talked to my counselor, like, I had this big smile on my face, and I was so excited and enthusiastic about starting this new journey. And she said to me, you're not going to worry about work or a girlfriend for your whole year. You're just going to worry about fixing yourself. So 6 months in, I asked her, you know, can I go back to work? My buddy's hiring landscapers. I figured it's just a non-stressful job. You know, I can just get back into the workforce. And I did that for about 6 months. And, I did that for about 3 months. And I was so thrilled that I was doing that because for years I always wanted to go to work sober. And now here I am doing it. I was so thrilled that here I am cutting grass and I have a big smile on my face because I'm doing it sober. And then after that I went to work for a buddy of mine. He's a contractor. So we were working 15-hour days. Just like driving to Pittsburgh, coming home, we're doing that. Again, this is a massive success for me because I'm doing it sober. And then I got a job with a vending company. I worked there for about 1.5 years. All I did there was just grow my business. And after about 1.5 years, I said to myself, wait a minute, when I laid in my bed and I got sober, I made rules for myself that I was always going to challenge myself in my sobriety. I was never just going to want to do just the minimum. So I started looking for other work. I got hired at Snyder's in Berlin. And that was like the next challenge for me. So I was there for about 5 weeks. They sent me to West Virginia. I was down there for 3 months and I finished first in my division in sales. I got the highest bonus and I came home. This was right around 4 years. I go to Sheets, I go to the Red Box, I get my movie, I walk back, like right here. I look in this car, there's a girl bent over. And I'm thinking to myself, what is she just rolling a joint? And here she has a spoon, and she's cooking heroin. I got in my car and I went home. And I thought to myself, is my recovery really a success? Because there's so many people out there struggling. Here I am, 4 years sober, what am I doing with it? That's when I started to formulate this plan. I said, okay, I have to do one more thing personally in my career, and I have to get to the top of my profession. But I started to plan out where I'm going to speak first, what I'm going to do second. Speaking first was at this church, Celebrate Recovery back in my hometown. I spoke there first, and I always wanted to know, I always wanted to get on the news. I always wanted to be out front with this. I never wanted to hide. So I had a 2.5 minute thing on WJAC, which was pretty cool. And then I went back to my high school. I did this 2 weeks ago. And when I think about it, 5.5 years ago when I was laying in my bed thinking, wouldn't it be so cool to build up a bunch of sober time and to be able to give back like that? And here I am doing it. And I told Brandy, I said, before I come there, I said, I'm gonna be more nervous doing this because up to getting to the high school, I had all this planned. I was never asked to come and speak at an event. And so, we've been talking about doing this for 4 months, 3 months? Yeah. And we're finally here doing it. It's a blessing. It's incredible. The picture up there, when I was a little kid, my message when I go to high schools, what I want to do is eliminate kids from walking into that meeting, that AA meeting, or that AA meeting for the first time. I want them to understand that just because they're 15 years old and they know that inside they're struggling, that they can't recognize that and go and talk to people about that. Because that's where this all starts. Instead of picking up that drug and eliminating that feeling, I want them to say, look at the strength I'm showing. I'm going to get help for my depression, or how I'm feeling. I want to go talk to people. I don't want to pick up that substance. The last thing I said to those kids before I left that school, I said, celebrate your life without a substance. You do not need to pick that substance up to have a great time. That's all I have. I just want to thank you guys from the bottom of my heart for bringing me down here. Thank you.
We are going to open up the floor for a little bit for questions, or anybody that is on the road to recovery that would like to speak.